I believe in the Church of Baseball. I've tried all the major religions and most of the minor ones. I've worshipped Buddha, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, Siva, trees, mushrooms, and Isadora Duncan. I know things. For instance, there's 108 beads in a Catholic rosary, and there's 108 stitches in a baseball. When I learned that, I gave Jesus a chance. But it didn't work out between us. The Lord laid too much guilt on me. I prefer metaphysics to theology. You see, there's no guilt in baseball, and it's never boring, which makes it like sex. There's never been a baseball player slept with me who didn't have the best year of his career. Making love is like hitting a baseball. You just gotta relax and concentrate. Besides, I'd never sleep with a player hitting under 250, unless he had a lot of RBIs or was a great glove man up the middle. You see, there's a certain amount of life wisdom I give these boys. I can expand their minds. Sometimes, when I got a ball player alone, I'll just read Emily Dickinson or Walt Whitman to him. And the guys are so sweet. They always stay and listen. Of course, a guy'll listen to anything if he thinks it's foreplay. I make them feel confident, and they make me feel safe. And pretty. Of course, what I give them lasts a lifetime. What they give me lasts 142 games. Sometimes it seems like a bad trade, but bad trades are part of baseball. Now who can forget Frank Robinson for Milt Pappas? For God's sake. It's a long season, and you gotta trust it. I've tried them all, I really have. And only the church that truly feeds the soul day in, day out, is the Church of Baseball.
Welcome to the Run It Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we are running back Bull Durham. And you just heard Annie Savoy's opening for the movie. And she's a slut for baseball.
Do you think what they give her that only lasts 148 games is crabs?
142. It's crabs. Maybe in Maryland. Maryland has crabs.
Like, I just feel like she might have a lot of STDs.
I feel like she's got a good eye.
Now, she does say she is monogamous during the season.
She said she takes 2 or 3 weeks to pick.
Right. Is that when their tests come back, or?
So I think she kind of gauges. She can kind of gauge people. I feel like she's been burnt a time or two.
Now, do you think when she takes her few weeks to choose, it's while her friend Millie is giving him a test run and see if Millie's coochie comes up itchy, and if not, then they're a prospect?
That is a possibility.
Like, I think Millie might be Annie's minor league team.
So the movie opens up with this narration. Next thing you know, you're in the dugout. Nobody can find Ebby. Ebby Calvin
Duke. Nuke.
Well, he hasn't got that name yet.
Phil.
Eddie Calvin LaLoosh. He is a pitcher that's been brought in.
LaLoosh is the best goddamn baseball name.
It is pretty good.
Fucking ever.
So nobody knows where he is. He's about to make his professional debut with the Durham Bulls. Coach goes back in the locker room, and he's back there fucking Millie.
He is deep inside of Millie.
Yeah. But the coach is like, you're about to make your professional debut, and here you are giving your fastball to some piece of ass in the locker room. And I forgot how good this movie was.
It was really good.
Every piece of this movie is good, and every part of it that is, like, if you thought, okay, what are the only parts we absolutely need to tell this story? Every other part is either fun, funny, or really good in some way.
Right.
So it's just really, and it's, I would say, the number one baseball movie ever made.
So would a lot of people.
Would you put this above A League of Their Own?
It is Sports Illustrated's number one greatest sports movie of all time, and Rotten Tomatoes' number one greatest sports movie of all time.
Greatest sports movie, not just greatest baseball movie?
Sports movie.
It's really good, and I feel like a lot of the reasons I like it is there is a lot of, hey, you're fucking doing this wrong. There's a lot of people calling people out.
There's a lot of you in this movie.
What do you mean by me?
As our nephew would say, Always with you and your damn life lessons.
Yeah.
You have a lot of life lessons. Crash has a lot of life lessons.
And, okay, we'll get to that part. So, game starts. You find out that Ebby has a good arm, but he has no control.
We gotta stop. We gotta stop calling him Ebby. I just refuse.
From here on out, we will call him Meat. You'll figure it out.
Well, I wasn't gonna call him that either.
No, I won't call him Nuke until the end.
Fine.
He doesn't earn that name till the end. His name is Meat. So Ebby or Meat has a great arm, but he has no control. So he opens the game and he throws the first ball as like a wild ball over top of everybody's head, right?
And it is 95 miles per hour.
Yeah. So at this point, no, the second pitch he actually hits the batter.
Yeah.
So he walks the first guy. And he asks Millie how Ebby was. It's like, well, he fucks like he pitches. He's sort of all over the place. And Annie sends Ebby a note. I forgot what it said. He's
not straightening his back up or something.
Yeah.
Something about his back. But she has like an entire like little kid messaging system where she hollers for a kid and they take the note and they give it to like the bat boy and then they give it to whatever player she's got notes for. So
they go through the rest of the game. You cut to the locker room and it's the manager and what is the next guy down? Like an assistant manager?
Sure.
The manager, the head coach basically, the assistant coach, and they're like, you walked 18, and the other guy's like, well, he also struck out 18. They're both league records.
That seems like too many, right?
Not really.
Not really?
Because if to have a perfect game, you got to strike out 18 people, or 27 people. So
then you meet Crash.
You meet Crash, and he is brought in to rein in this guy. They basically tell him he's got a $1 million arm and a 5-cent head. They want him to reel him in, get him under control, and help him out.
Mature him.
Crash is kind of pissed off at this whole
He's
thing
mad because
he was in AAA.
Yeah, he had a AAA deal.
So he gets brought down from AAA to AA or single A to
babysit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets mad. He's like, that's it. I'm done. I quit. And he storms out of the office.
Well, he thought about it for a second. He's like, fuck it. Fuck it, I'm done.
And he storms out of the office and then he comes back and he's like, what time's the game tomorrow?
Well, he's like, who do we play? He didn't even ask what time. He seems like one of those guys that's going to be early no matter what.
Yeah,
so
probably.
He was just like, who do we play? So, it cuts to Meek giving his interview. He's like, it was out there. He's radical. Mainly it was just out there, man. Like, he's just...
It wasn't just out there. It was like way out there.
He is just the worst person ever. And Crash is just like, what does he say? He's like, this is hopeless. This is utterly fucking hopeless. And walks out. After he'd already quit and came back.
Yeah.
It
goes to the bar after the game.
Cut to the bar, you got Annie, and you have Max, who plays himself. He is the clown prince of baseball. He does like the pregame.
Right.
And probably between
the
innings. He's just doing goofy shit, hyping the crowd up.
Right.
Entertaining them.
Every baseball, at least especially minor league baseball, has one.
Yeah.
There's one at our local team. The team that used to be our local team had a different one. They had something with toast.
What was the toast?
I don't know. Remember in Charleston they had like the toast? They would like bring toast and throw it out in the field, and I have no idea. Like each little minor league team always has their own weird stick.
So there, Annie and Max are talking. She's like, what? Basically just talking about baseball and coming back, and he's like, he loves the game. And a waitress brings them drinks, and they're like, these aren't ours. We didn't order those. They're somebody else's. They're like, no, the guy in the booth over there bought them. They turn around. It's Crash. And Crash knows Max.
Right.
Because Max is like, oh, that's Crash Davis. Crash comes over there and introduces himself.
Annie asks him if he wants to dance.
Well, before that, Max was like, he's a really good guy. Once I even saw him read a book without pictures. Because later you learn that she is an English professor at a local, like a small college.
Right, community college.
Nearby. So I guess he figures she'd be into that.
Right. She asks him to dance, and he says he doesn't dance. She said, well, isn't that embarrassing? So they're sitting there in their watch, Ebby
Meat.
dancing, and he is dancing with everyone. He is dancing with the entire bar. Now, fun fact, that dance scene was choreographed by Paula Abdul.
No way. That seems
Super
way below.
Well, she thought that in turn for choreographing his dance, she was going to get a part in the movie and at least have a few lines. And they were like, no, that wasn't our deal. Like, we paid you to choreograph the dance and that's fucking it. We're done now. And she didn't know that, and she got mad and stormed off the set.
Hollywood's a real fucked up place. When somebody pays you for a job, but you expect more from it, that's weird to begin with. But I don't know the whole details. Like, did somebody tell her, hey, well, if they do this, they might...
I don't know, probably.
Do this, but it was misconstrued as, hey, if you do this, you're going to be in the movie.
Probably.
But at the time, I think she was bigger than this movie.
I don't know. I mean, she could be like the third hoe. You don't want to be the third string hoe in Bull Durham.
I don't think there's not a backup hoe.
You just coming off the bench like...
The hoe... Okay, let me put it this way.
They should have told her she could be the bull mascot.
It's odd that this is it's a sports movie,
mm-hmm.
about a men's professional team. But this movie's, like, the hoes are not backup. They are the starters. They are the show, basically.
So we watched this on Hulu, Showtime on Hulu. And, like, the about the movie information, it says, a slow-witted pitcher comes between a sexy sports fan and a minor leaguer. And I was like, that is the worst. Like, if you told me that description, I would not be like, oh, that's Bull Durham. Like, I would have to think hard on that. Like, that is the worst description of this movie I've ever heard.
When I think of this movie, I feel like people get taught lessons. Like,
a slow-witted pitcher comes between a sexy sports fan and a minor leaguer. So, they're in the bar, Ebby's kind of dancing with everybody.
Well, then after he comes over to Annie, right? Yes.
And he asks her to dance. And Crash stands up and was like, actually, she's going to go dance with me. Even though he said no to her originally.
Yeah. Well, before that, he thanked her for giving the note. Like,
right.
And he's dumb as fuck. But he did realize that she was right in his advice.
Right.
So he is willing to take advice. And that's kind of what you need to know from a person before you need to know that they're willing to change based off of input.
That's what you need to know before you take them on. Is you're like, I don't know. I wanted to say side piece, but that's not right. Your
seasonal fuck buddy.
Your seasonal fuck buddy.
Yeah.
/ learning partner. Now, you say he's dumb as fuck, but I don't know that he is. I think he is what you often say, in that he's too young to be eloquent.
Articulate.
He's too young to be articulate.
Somebody else was watching a video. I was watching a podcast or whatever on YouTube. They were watching a video of a girl, and he's like, he got what she was trying to say, but he felt bad for her because she was like early 20s, and she was just babbling on. And he was like, oh, that's just too bad.
Yeah.
She's too young to be articulate.
Yeah.
And he was like, just stop it.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like he felt embarrassed for her because...
Right.
Through life, you only get better in life by experiences. Whether those experiences are good, bad, successes or failures. If you got your shit together and you learn something from it, then that experience was worth it.
Right. So old Ebby here is like fresh out of college.
He's real young.
So he's young.
I don't even think he's out of college.
He's got to be out of college.
Not everybody goes to college, especially in the 80s.
I don't think they were drafting high school baseball players in the 80s.
Look it up. They like claiming middle schoolers now.
Now, not in 1988.
Well,
either way, he's very young. He's like early 20s.
Crash was like, no, she's actually dancing with me, and they get into
it. Turned into an immediate, do you want to take this outside?
And Crash was like, no, whatever. And old Meat's like, come on, homeboy, you coming or not? So they go outside. This is one of the great scenes in the movie. Because Meat has no idea who the fuck Crash is.
Calling him that.
His name is Meat. He has no idea who Crash is.
No.
He's just some dude that cock blocked him. So they go outside. Crash is like, I don't want to fight. And he's like, you're a pussy. Everybody on the team is kind of crowded around, which I find it hard to believe that all these fuckers on the team just hours ago were in the locker room and Crash showed up. Like, hey, I saw this dude in the locker room. What's his deal? Nobody asks about that.
Right.
So Crash is like, he's still like, I don't want to fight. And he's like, all right, fine. He reaches in his pocket, grabs a baseball. Well, no, he said, you throw the first punch. He's like, no, I'm not doing that because people have a thing about the first punch, whatever. Crash like, fine. He grabs the baseball out of his pocket, tosses him, hit me with it. Throw as hard as you can. He's like, I don't want to do that. I'll kill you. And Crash is like, well, from what I heard, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a fucking boat.
Right.
And this got to him.
Yeah, it did.
Got to him.
He said, he was like, you're already going to miss. I already know you're going to miss because you're thinking about it.
Yeah. And he just fucking...
He was like, all these people gathered around. Somebody might laugh if you miss. What will all these people think?
Yeah. He gets pissed off. He finally does throw the ball. He goes through the glass window of the door at the bar.
Yeah.
And in a stroke of genius, Crash just says, ball 4, and that fucking set him off. And he's like, you mother... So he steps to Crash, and Crash just fucking pops him. And lays him out. He doesn't knock him out, but lays him out, and he's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I'm Crash Davis, I'm your new catcher, and consider that your first lesson.
Right.
And he's just like, that's my new catcher.
It was like, lesson 1, don't think. He tells him he has $1 million arm and a 5-cent head. That's where that line came in.
Yeah, well, right before he threw the ball, he's like,
right.
You got $1 million arm, but I got a pretty good idea about your 5-cent head. And
right.
That kind of messed him up, too.
So they go back in the bar, and they're all chill now, because he's like, that's my catcher.
Yeah.
That's my quarterback.
Where is T.O. now? I really thought he...
Last time I saw him, he was working out in his driveway.
He knows people has like a... He's just a genetic freak. Like
$1 million arm and a 5-cent head.
I feel like he's going to be like 85 years old and still have like an 8-pack.
Yeah.
He's going to put that... What's that dude, Jack?
LaLanne?
Is that his name? He can put him to shame.
So they go back inside in the bar. They're all chill and fine now. And Annie comes up and gets between them. She's like, so, I think we should go to my place. And Abby's like, well, which one of us? She's like, well, both of you, of course. And just walks away. And then it cuts to Annie's house.
Well, here's where the inexperience kind of comes through. Because Abby's just like, he's sitting there crashing. He chugs the rest of his beer, sets it down, and is like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
So Annie sits him down and basically is like, hey, here's the deal.
Yeah, just straight as could be.
I'm going to fuck one player this season. It's going to be one of you two.
Yeah, I hook up with one guy a season, and right now you two are my top prospects. It usually takes me a couple of weeks to figure it out, kind of like my spring training.
Me, it's just like, is somebody going to bed with somebody or what?
Yeah.
What does she say?
I don't know. But Crash isn't having it. He gets up and leaves. And she's like, what are you doing? And he said, I don't believe in any of this. And she said, well, what do you believe in? And now Jason's going to read to us.
I got it. He says, well, I believe in the soul, the cock, the pussy, the small of a woman's back, the hanging curveball, high fiber, good scotch, that the novels of Susan Sontag are self-indulgent, overrated crap. I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Actually, I think he might have said shit in the unedited version. I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I believe there ought to be a constitutional amendment outlawing AstroTurf and designated hitter. I believe in the sweet spot, softcore pornography, opening your presents on Christmas morning rather than Christmas Eve, and I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last for 3 days. Good night.
Now, that speech moves her.
Because he shuts the door and he's laughing.
Yeah.
He's laughing the whole way out.
But she said, oh.
But
she chases him out. And he tells her, I'm not interested in a woman who's interested in that boy.
Yeah. So let's go back to what he believes in.
All right.
Because he has a lot of good shit. I don't know what Susan Sontag wrote because I'm uncultured swan. But I don't feel so strongly about the AstroTurf, but I do feel strongly about the designated hitter.
Now, when he says, I believe they should outlaw AstroTurf as a designated hitter, it goes back to Ebby, who just rolls his eyes, because, of course, the pitcher wants a designated hitter.
Yeah, but Now, I believe there's no reason pitchers can't hit. The only reason that they don't hit as well in the majors because they don't practice that. They throw. That's their job. Your job is to throw. Your job is to strike people out or get them to.
I mean, I guess you
hit
don't want
into and out.
You don't want additional strain on the shoulder and the elbow and of your pitcher. You know, like you don't want them to take BP all the time. And
again, I don't know anything, but if I'm paying you hundreds of millions of dollars, your ass better fucking learn how to swing a stick.
Now,
because one of the greatest weekends ever, for my birthday, you bought me tickets to go see the Cubs in Pittsburgh. We spent the whole weekend. We're at the hotel that's basically behind home plate.
Right.
The first night of the series was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Carlos Zambrano is pitching for the Cubs.
Right.
He out-hits the entire Pirates baseball team.
He did.
By himself. He goes 4 for 4 and hits a home run.
He did.
Tell me what the fuck? Like, he's crazy as fuck.
It was
but
wild. He looks like somebody that would try to eat his own face.
Yeah. Why can't... There does not need to be a designated hitter. So I am absolutely biased against any American League
because
pitcher for that.
I don't know. I don't think it was that same series, but still Cubs versus
Saturday it was 14.
Because one of those times Greg Maddux pitched, and when it was Greg Maddox's turn at bat, he hit the ball. He hit the ball for what should have been a double for a normal human being. But he's running as hard as his little heart can from first to second, and he's not going to make it. No. The crowd is...
He goes to round first, and I'm sitting at third base, and I stand up. We're like one of 200 people in this whole stadium.
The crowd is cheering, losing their mind. Go, go, go!
I'm like, no, go back! Go back!
Jason is the lone voice screaming for him to go back.
Because Greg Maddux is 143 years old.
At that point, yes. And he did not make it.
It looked like a scene out of Major League. He slides. He's halfway between first and second.
He was just sitting on his butt between first and second, just dejected. Like, imagine a little kid just shoulders slumped down.
Shortstop is in between third and second. They come over to cover second, so second base is already in the middle. The guy in the outfield just threw to him, and he's just like walks over to him as he's just sitting there like a little kid and tags him.
It was bad. And that is why people want a designated hitter.
But he hit the ball.
He did hit the ball.
He just should have.
He needed a designated runner.
He got greedy.
Should have just been But for a normal baseball player, it would have
been a double. Yeah.
Easily been a double.
I think the thing that impressed me the most is watching them warm up. And they'll, like, the Pirates, since we were close to them, they would always start at the foul line. They'd be like 10 feet apart and throw it, and then the guy not on the foul line would just back up every time. And eventually he backs up. There's a guy at third base, and there's a guy all the way at the fence, and they look like they're standing flat-footed just throwing that far.
Yeah.
It's
not a big deal.
It is impressive. Like, if I try to throw a baseball that far, I'm gonna need a 20-yard run.
But
to get
that's why he wants to designate. So what else does he believe in?
Oh, we already read that.
Are we done?
Well,
you said you were going through it. That you really just wanted to hit that?
I wanted to hit that because a designated hitter sucks, and they're thinking about making universal designated hitter for both the National League and the American League. Right now, the American League, which is the league that sucks, both the Yankees and Boston Red Sox both suck because the pitchers can't hit.
Now, I used to be a rather large baseball fan. And I liked the Braves, which was in the National League, and you liked the Cubs, which was also in the National League. So when they would go play an American League team at an American League stadium, they would have the designated hitter, and it would fuck me up.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it at all.
Because you got people like, I like the Cubs. Kerry Wood, every now and then, got a home run. But Carlos Zambrano, he was fucking bringing it.
What happened to him?
Dusty Baker ruined his career. No.
Dusty Baker ruined
Kerry Wood's
career. What happened to Carlos Zambrano? I don't remember. He just kind
of fell off. I think he went crazy. I really think he was crazy.
I was seeing if he did something crazy.
I don't think he did anything crazy. He was wild. He was one of those guys that you definitely wanted on your team. Like, he was all in. He wasn't about to just bow out because he was a pitcher. Oh, I'm going to go up here and get this strikeout. And that had to make, like, people in Pittsburgh do not care for the Pirates at all because the people who run that team, all those years we were up there, every year by the time the All-Star break hit, they traded all but one of their starters.
He retired in 2014, and then in 2018 came out of retirement to pitch for Leones des Yucatan of the Mexican League before being released on August 14th.
Well, I hope he's doing good somewhere.
And re-announced his retirement January 17th, 2020, after signing with the Chicago Dogs of the American Association of Independent Professional Baseball.
That's a lot of words.
That was a lot of words. I wasn't even sure it was a thing.
Alright, so the next part of the speech I want to hit is softcore pornography. Fuck that shit, whatever. If you're gonna go all out.
You need hardcore?
Yeah.
You need somebody to pee in somebody's mouth, or...
No, I don't need all that.
Hey, now.
If I'm gonna watch porn, I don't want to watch you dry hump for 30 minutes. Like, get the fuck on with it. I actually don't want to watch you dry hump at all. Just fucking go get a room. I don't fucking care for it. Next thing. Opening presents on Christmas morning rather than Christmas Eve. I would rather open them on Christmas morning.
That surprises me from you, because that is not what your family does.
No. But now if I have a gift, I would rather open on a Christmas morning.
Right.
Just because I feel like Christmas, the whole thing about Christmas is the lead up. Because once you get to Christmas morning, it's maybe a half hour of opening presents, if you have any presents, and it's over.
I'm a big fan of a Christmas Eve dinner, and then presents on Christmas morning.
So everybody can stay at their home.
Leftovers on Christmas, cause fuck that.
But for the longest time, we never had leftovers.
Your dad...
We were traveling everywhere.
I feel like your dad always had the best of intentions of Christmas on Christmas morning. But your little sister was always like, please, 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 on Christmas Eve. And he just kind of always gave in. So you always ended up having Christmas on Christmas Eve night. I don't even know that it was so much her saying, please, please, please.
He
got to sleep in?
No, he... maybe later on, but he gets excited. He wants...
Right.
Like, hey, I know I got you this. I know you'll be excited about it. He gets excited for that.
Now, he gets very excited until he realizes it's something that he has to put together. Like a 1,000,000-piece train set where he snapped 2 pieces together, was like, y'all got this for him, right? And walked away. And I was like, no, this has like bridges and loops. And no, I do not have this, sir.
All right, that's all I got on that one.
All right. So you can tell that messes her up. The speech, the fact that he's not interested in her.
He's laughing out the door. He's basically, he knows he set the hook.
Right. Then he says, I'm not interested in a woman who'd be interested in that boy. That fucked her up. So she goes back in with Ebby. And he's just like getting naked as fast as he can in the bedroom. And she's like, wait, slow down. And she makes him put all his clothes back on. And she sits down and like watches him slowly undress. And she critiques him as he does it. Like, he takes off his shirt. It's real weird. It's awkward. I didn't care for it. But then he just starts taking off his pants. And she's like, stop. How about we try your shoes and socks first?
Yeah. Well, she told him, it's like, when you know how to make love, you'll know how to pitch.
He's like, I know how to pitch. She's like, well, that's good.
Well, then she's digging through, like, her nightstand and gets out some ropes.
Yeah.
And she's like, you ever been tied up? And he's like, oh, I heard about this shit. Like, let's go.
So she ties him to the bed and starts reading Walt Whitman. And now this is what she meant in the opening. That they always stick around for Walt Whitman. Because they think it's foreplay. I was like, yeah, because you tied him to the goddamn bed.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a psychopath.
Because the next morning, he comes in just wrecked. And they're like, ooh, how was she? How was she? He was like, we didn't fuck. She just read poetry to me all night.
He's like, that's more tiring than fucking. But anytime Crash sees him come in, or him with her, or him being happy about her, he's always got a way to, like, knock him down. So he picks up his shower sandals. He's like, there's fungus on your shower shoes. You'll never make it to the show with fungus on your shower shoes.
They were disgusting, too. And
if
he just made his first start earlier today. How is there already fungus on his shoes? Like, were those his shoes from college or
I don't know.
high school? Like, oh, they were.
It's like, you win 20 in the show, and then you can let it grow back, and the press will think you're colorful. And he just walks off.
Yeah, it was like, until then, you're just a slob.
Then you cut to...
Well, you meet the religious guy, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's trying to minister to the team.
Right. He says he'll be holding a Bible session every day at 3 o'clock or something. It's game time.
So then you got Crash at bat, and he's kind of talking himself through it. And
he's having a hard time.
He's talking out loud. You hear him thinking to himself. And I'm guessing this probably goes on every at bat. He's been through it enough of these to know what's going on.
But his issue is that he keeps thinking about Annie.
Yeah.
He can't get her out of his mind.
Well, he fouls the first one off. No, he fouled 2 off. And the second one, he actually ran down the line. And as the pitcher's walking back to the mound and he's walking back to home plate, he's like, throw that weak-ass shin again at me. Or throw that weak-ass shit again. Basically trying to bait him into throwing the same pitch. And he get in the box and he's like, relax. And he's like, he starts thinking about Annie. And then he's like, get the fuck out of the box. Get out of the box, you idiot. And he finally calls time out and steps out.
The bat boy brings him a towel to wipe down his bat. And the bat boy's just like 12 years old.
Get a hit, Crash.
He's trying to be supportive. He's like, get a hit, Crash. He's like, shut up. Like appalled that this child said that.
Yeah, then he strikes out.
He strikes out.
And he's pissed off. Annie sends him a note saying he's pulling his hips early.
So the little kid, she used the little kid system again, and he writes back. You see him writing, he's holding it up on the dugout, and he's writing, and he writes, let's fuck sometime. And he was like, no, it's kind of a personal note. Don't you read it, and gives it back to the kid. The kid gives it to Millie. And Annie says, well, what does it say? And Millie says, oh, it says, let's...
He's like, I want to make love to you.
I want to make love to you. Crash. I was like, that is not what that said. So in her note, she said that she would be happy to show him how to not pull his hips early at the batting cage.
Yeah.
So it cuts to them at the batting cage the next day.
Yeah. He's asking her, what do you see in that guy? Like, what do you see in him?
Right.
He's dumb. And she's like, he's not dumb. He's just inexperienced.
And he's trying to convince her, you want to be with me. And she said that she's monogamous during the season.
Yeah. He said she's afraid that he's the real thing.
Afraid of anything real. That's why she likes all these young kids. But it also comes up that he's going to hit the minor league home run record. And nobody seems to know but her. And he doesn't want anybody to know because she was like, we got to tell the paper. We got to tell this. We got to do this. And he makes her promise that she won't.
I don't know why, though. Like, I know he says,
it's a dubious record. Like,
yeah, because you're
the best.
You're good, but you're not good enough.
Yeah, you're the best in the minor leagues, isn't?
So then you got to the dugout. You got Millie introducing herself to everybody. She says hi to Jimmy.
Well, hold on. You don't have them in bed first?
Yeah. So Annie, there's blankets over top of them. Annie's fucking Ebby, which you would think, but she calls him Crash.
They get done and she's like, oh, Crash, that was fabulous. Yikes.
But she kind of played it pretty well. She was like, would you rather me fuck you calling you by his name or me be fucking him calling him your name?
I mean, would that work? Like, if I start screaming out somebody else's name tonight, are you going to be upset by that? I mean, you got to be upset by that,
yes,
right?
Yes, we've been together for forever. But if you were just some random hoe, no, I'm not going to care.
It still seems odd.
Yeah, it's odd, but... So then you got Millie introducing herself to everybody in the dugout. She walks by, she grabs Jimmy's hand, and he's like, hey. She introduced herself, I think his name was Deke.
Something.
She's like, hi, I'm Millie, and he's like, hi, I'm married.
Yeah. He'd already heard about her ass. Because at the bar, earlier on in the bar, when Annie's meeting the two of them, she's just latched onto a second baseman. I don't even know if I caught his name, other than he was the second baseman. And, like, even when they're outside fighting, she's just wrapped around his waist. So she's kind of working her way through the team.
I feel like she's trying to be Annie.
I'm telling you, she's like Annie's minor league. Like, she takes the dick and reports back. She's like the scout. She's
the farm system.
She's Annie's scout.
But I think she's just not quite to Annie's level yet, basically.
Because she's also young. Like, she's actually these kids' age.
Yeah. So then you have Jose. He's got a chicken bone cross, and he's trying to ward off a curse on his back because he's in a slump. The guy next to it, I guess Deke, whatever his name was. It's like, he's like, help me out. I'm 0 for 16 here. I need something.
Right.
And he's like, you gotta believe. So that's not believing. That's desperation. But while Jose's kind of not looking, he's distracted. He just taps his thing with the bat. So superstition is a lot. I think in any sport.
Right, but especially baseball. It's big in baseball. Like the people that won't step on the foul line.
I never... If it was during a play, it's fine. If it's walking on or off the field...
You can't step on it.
Top, bottom, between innings, you don't step on it. You just don't do it.
It's very important.
You always wanted to use the same stuff.
They are very ritualistic people to the point of maybe a little OCD.
Yeah. But even playing Little League, if you know, there's the coaches have bats, different players have bats, and you know, you have bat that you were using that it was actually another kid's. If that kid wasn't there, or they didn't bring it, and you had to use a different bat. If you got a hit off that different bat, you didn't go back to the other bat. Right. You stayed with the new one. Like you're like, oh, you can't fuck with this.
Right.
This is working.
Yeah.
But if you had a certain routine before the game, you tried to always do it. If you warmed up with the same people always warmed up and you won, or the same people warmed up and you won, you kept it. If you warmed up and you lost, then you could switch.
Anyway, so he won't help him with his chicken bone cross, so he just taps his bat on top of it real quick while he's not looking.
So it cuts to Crash calling Tom out to give Meat some advice. And Meat's just like, what the fuck does he know? As he's walking away, and he's mumbling to himself, like...
Well, Crash goes out there, and he's like, stop trying to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. They're fascist. Ground balls are democratic. And he's walking back. Ebby just starts talking shit. What's he know? And I guess Crash...
But he's mumbling to himself.
But Crash either heard it all...
Or just
knew, because he turns around and answers, like, almost everything he said.
He's like, you don't know shit. So then... Meat's like, he's old, he's been here forever, he's never going to do anything, blah, 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 I'm the fucking man here. Right. I know what I'm doing. So he starts shaking off Crash's signs.
He's calling a curveball. He's shaking it off because he wants to throw a fastball.
So Crash calls timeout, and he's like, what the fuck are you shaking me off for? Walks back, and he's like, here comes the heat. And the dude batting knows exactly what the fuck is happening.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he said, here comes the heat. Because he was like, Charlie, here comes the heat. And he starts kind of chuckling, and he shakes his head, and he's like, all right. Boom.
And he
hits a home run.
He hits the bull. So if you hit the bull, you win a free steak dinner at the local steakhouse.
But what's funny is he hits that home run, and he's like stopping and admiring. And Crash is like, I give you a fucking gift, and you're sitting here trying to show up my fucking pitcher?
Right.
Get the fuck on. Yeah. Move. Go.
He still has his
Take
back.
your base.
Now, the Bull billboard offering a free steak if it gets tagged by a home run was created for the film, but the real-life Durham Bulls kept it, even after moving to a newer and bigger stadium. Even today, if a player hits the bull on a fly-out with a home run, he wins a free steak from a local restaurant. If the player hits the grass that the bull stands on, he wins a free salad.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, he goes out there.
As a minor league player, you know you've watched this movie. Don't you kind of really want to hit the fucking bull?
Yeah. You just want to hit the bull.
You want to hit the bull.
He walks out there, he's like, man, that really fucking got out of here, didn't it?
He hit the goddamn bull. He won himself his free steak.
He's like, I don't understand. It was like he knew it was coming. And Crash is like, yeah, I told him. And he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, you need to listen to your boy here. And Meat's just like, don't think, just throw.
Crash gets himself a home run in the game as well.
So for a little bit, Meat's doing all right, and then he gets a little wild, and he's like, oh, God, here we go, and hands Millie the glove.
Yeah, but Crash hits himself a home run in the game, too, and then after the game, he's like shaving, getting ready, and the manager's like, you hit a nice one today. I'm sorry, it was for nothing. I don't know what we can do to win. I try to be nice to these guys and get them on my side and play them for me, but it's not working.
Crash is just like, scare them.
Scare them.
He's like, huh?
He was like, they're kids. Scare them. And the manager's like, huh. So he gathers up all the baseball bats in the clubhouse and goes and chucks them in the shower while they're all naked.
He yells for everybody to get in the
Screaming.
fucking shower. It's like,
was like-
anybody who's not in the shower in 5 seconds gets $100 fine.
Yeah. And he screams and yells, and it seems to work, I guess. But it's
So
like he had never thought of that.
He tells them, basically gives them the lollygagger speech. Like, you throwing the ball, you lollygagging. You running to the plate, you lollygagging. We're 8-16. How the fuck did we win 8 games? It's a miracle.
Like, the co-manager's like backing him up. He was like hyping him. He was like, how'd we win 8 games? He's like, I don't know, man. It's a miracle.
He's like, it's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball. And he's yelling at them because they're about to go on a road trip. And basically, he doesn't
long-ass road trip.
A 12-day road trip. He doesn't want to fucking lose the whole time.
Right. So they're leaving for this road trip, and Annie meets Ebby at the bus and gives him a pair of garters. And he was like, what am I supposed to do with this? She's like, you wear them under your uniform. It'll get you thinking, you're pitching from the wrong side of your brain. This will get you thinking with the right side of your brain.
Hit him where they ate. So it cuts to the bus, and Meat's got his guitar out. He's being a little douchebag. And he's singing the wrong words to the song. He keeps saying women do get woolly. Yeah. They get woolly, blah, blah, blah. Crash is just like, stop it. They get weary. Women don't get woolly. They get weary.
Right. He was like, why don't you like me? He was like, because you don't respect yourself, and even worse, you don't respect the game.
Well, he said, you don't respect yourself, that's your problem. And you don't respect the game, that's my problem.
Right.
And this is where everybody else kind of learns
that Crash has been in the majors before.
He's been in the majors for 21 days. They all crowd around him like it's some kind of like legendary story.
Right.
Because that's what they all want to do. He's like, you don't carry your luggage. When you go out for batting practice, you hit white balls. Basically, you hit new balls.
New balls. There's room service at the hotels.
Yeah.
Now, how did they end up in a fight?
Because he said, he's like, Nuke could make it to the show. Nuke could be one of those guys, but he doesn't fucking understand.
Right.
And he gets mad at that.
In which he says, do you want to take this outside? Yeah. In a moving fucking bus.
But
and Crash says, yeah, I'll take it outside, and then just like flips him over a table.
Well, that's where, okay, Meat, inexperienced, like, do you want to take us outside? You're on a bus. Crash, who's experienced, goes, yeah, we'll fucking take it outside, and just throws the punch. Like,
right.
He's not going to wait for you to fucking hit him. He knows you're young. You're bigger than him. You're probably stronger than him. He got that old man strain. He's going to fuck you up. You got to watch those old men.
That's right.
But one of the coaches come back, and to be honest with you, the oldest coach, I don't think would have broken it up.
He was going to let it go, yeah.
The assistant guy goes back there to break it. He's like, what's going on here? And Misha's like, I was just going to ask Crash how to throw a breaking ball. He's like, anybody got a ball? Anybody got a ball? You got a ball?
Yeah.
So they go on this road game montage, which is their announcer, their PA announcer, who does their radio as well, calls them the worst Durham team ever other than Crash. Like, Crash was having a pretty good streak of hitting. They just weren't able to do anything on the other side of the ball.
They finally get off the bus in this town, and there's a bunch of ice skaters getting off another bus, and the guy's like, that's what we need. A night with them and we'll be right. And then the guy was like, no, what we really need is a rain out tomorrow.
And Crash like, I can get us rain out.
Yeah.
And they start laughing. He's like, $100. Guarantee you rain out for tomorrow. They're all like, fuck it. I'll do it. So they all show up to this ballpark. They each got their own six-pack. It's
yes, they do.
The three guys who were looking at the ice skaters, who he told we can get a rain out. They get in the field, and Crash just turns all the sprinklers on. And he's like, oh my goodness. We got ourselves a natural disaster.
Now, this is a true story. The guy who wrote this movie played in the minor leagues, and one of the people on his team, they needed a rain out. They were burnt out. They wanted a rain out, and they snuck in. and turned on all the sprinklers. And they're excited. They partied all night. They thought they were going to have a rain out because they did this. But apparently the person that owned that team was a rich motherfucker who called in helicopters to dry off the field so they could play ball.
I want that much money. Wow.
Yeah.
So it shows them like just sliding through the mud on the baseline.
They are being little boys.
Yeah, they're getting drunk. They're having fun. Then it cuts to Meat having a dream. He's on the mound. He's butt naked other than his tighty whities and the garters. And it's like he knows he's butt naked and he's looking at the crowd. He's like kind of embarrassed. The team's laughing at him. One dude's got a cigarette up his fucking nose. But they're all pointing and laughing and he's just kind of vulnerable, I guess. And Crash wakes him up. He's like, "You're awake? Everything's good?"
Yeah,
You're
he
fine.
was clearly like...
He was struggling.
Having a nightmare, yeah.
So then they finally get back home after this nightmare of a road trip. And Annie's there to pick up Meat and Crash sees him. You can tell he feels some type of way about it.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. But Ebby clearly just wants to go home and have sex. And she says what you need is a good game of catch.
Yeah.
So you cut to the backyard, and she's teaching him how to breathe through his eyelids and kind of just center himself.
Trying to get him not to think about it.
She has Millie dressed up in full catcher's gear in her dress. She's going to be the catcher. And he's like not taking it serious. He's like, I can't, I'm going to hurt her. And she was like, she's caught a lot better pitchers than you. Like, so I bet she has.
She caught some.
Seems like she's catching from a lot of guys.
So he lobs one over to her, and Annie's like, I will not be patronized.
Right?
So he throws a heater right to the fucking window.
Right through a window. He breaks more goddamn windows. So he picks her up, picks up Annie, and he's trying to have sex with her again. She's like, what would be even better is if you channeled all of that pent-up sexual energy into your pitching tonight. So it goes to pregame, and he's in the back putting on the garter that he didn't wear at all during the road game. Like, he just kept pulling it out of his pocket, and they kept losing. So
Crash
he's trying it out. Yeah, Crash.
He's like, that's hot. That's very hot. And
Crash has to turn it around for him, right?
Yeah. He's like, Annie says it'll help me, think with the right side of my mind, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Crash turns it around for him, tells him the rose goes in the front. And he also tells Crash, as Annie also said, to throw whatever Crash calls. Right. He's like, Annie's a smart woman.
So he's on the mound. He's like, this feels kind of weird. Feels kind of sexy. This don't make me queer, right?
So
like, oh my God.
He's listening to everybody. He's having a good game. And he's just like, don't think. Every time Crash makes a call and he's kind of like, he's like, don't think. Fuck it, just throw it. And he's having a good game.
Crash is having a good game. Crash hit a home run.
Yeah. They come to the dugout after the inning's over. Meat's all kind of jacked up because he's having a good game. And Crash is like, kind of lays into him. He's like, right. You're hanging, or your curveball's hanging, this is doing this and whatever. He's like, can't you just let me, like,
enjoy the moment?
He's like, moment's over. Crash gets up. He goes to bat. He's like, boys, if this guy serves up a breaking ball the first pitch, I'm taking it yard. I'm going all the way. And sure enough, that's what happens. He hits home run.
So when Ebby's back up to pitch, he's had a consistent night. He hasn't had any wild pitches.
Yeah.
He goes out there, he tells him to hit the bull, the mascot.
Right now he's throwing a shutout.
Right. He was like, why? He was like, I finally got it together. Why do you want me to do this? He's like, trust me. Hit the bull mascot. So he hits him. So he hits the bull mascot. And the pitcher backs up and he stands up and he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's fucking wild. I wouldn't dig in. I don't know where the next one's going. It might be at your head. I have no idea what this guy's doing. So he kind of got the batter off his game.
Yeah, so strikes him out. Well, then he decides he's going to do his own thing. He starts shaking off Crash.
Yeah.
And Crash is like, he doesn't even call timeout. He doesn't go to the mound. He's like, this son of a bitch is shaking me off with a 2-hit shutout.
He says it out loud to the batter.
He's like, Charlie, here comes Deuce. And when you speak of me, speak well. And I think that's another quote. Like when I do somebody a favor and they're like, oh, thank you. And especially if it's somebody I work with, I do the whole speak well thing. But he's like, when you speak of me, speak well. And he takes him off. And Meat's just sitting at the mound and shaking his head. Crash walks up and he's doing his whole...
Yeah,
the same thing he did with the
really
first
got
time.
out of here, didn't it?
He's like, fucking told him, didn't you? He's like, yep. So, you thought he had learned his lesson.
He's learning.
Now it's set in like, hey, if you start to veer off from this path, we're going to show you.
Sometimes you have to have a refresher course.
Sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up and listen. He was having this entire game where everything was going perfect for him. And he was listening. He was told, hey, Crash is a catcher. He's been in this league for 12 years. Or he's been in baseball for 12 years. He knows what he's doing. And he told him, just throw what he says.
Yeah.
Just throw what he says. You'll be fine. And he got his ego got to him, I guess.
So you get Annie's voiceover here that it worked too well. Him using the pent-up sexual energy to pitch worked too well. And now he refused to have sex with her until he lost. And Annie is big horny.
Meat's coming on the bus yelling about how he loves winning. And he's like, it's like better than losing.
Mm-hmm.
He wants Crash to teach himself. Crash is drinking. And he's like, let's work on your interviews. And he tells him, you're going to have to learn all the cliches and use them. And he's like, man, that's boring. He's like, yeah, it's the point. Like, just fucking say it. Basically, Crash is kind of teaching him, not necessarily what to say in the interview for the fans, but it's more or less what to say in the interview for the front office management.
Right.
So, like, hey, if you do these things, these people are going to make sure they come after you. You're going to get paid, whatever. Which I feel like today doesn't have to be that way. Like, if you bring the fans, you get a little more leverage with the front office. Like,
you still need to know not to be a dumbass in your interview. Now, the college we went to, I won't say all of the sports, because obviously there's like 1,000 sports, but your top sports, your football, your basketball, possibly your baseball, all had to have a media relations course where they learned how to give an interview and speak to the media appropriately, so that we didn't come off like a bunch of dumb hicks.
Well, it's weird because not a lot of people have experience doing interviews like that, and if you...
Right. But I feel like you can watch interviews and you can tell which schools require that, and which schools have never heard of such a thing.
Oh, yeah. Some of those SEC schools need they got some real winners down there. I feel like...
I was trying to run through our listener base real quick. Crash says, how's Annie? He was like, oh, she's mad because I told her I won't have sex with her until we lose. And he sees his opportunity, and Crash is like, oh, yeah, you never fuck with a winning streak.
I don't necessarily think that. I think Crash was being 100% true to me. Because later in the movie, when he's talking to Annie, he's like, no, fuck it.
I know.
If you believe you are winning for a reason, then you need to stick with that reason. And he told her, he was like, and you know this.
Right.
Like, because she said, you're fucking with me. You're fucking with my personal life.
I still think he got a little bit of joy out of it.
He probably did, but I think he wasn't steering him wrong.
Still.
He wasn't trying to sneak one in on him. Because at one point, she comes over and confronts him about that.
We'll get there.
So yeah, don't fuck with a winning streak if you do whatever you're doing to get the win.
They come home from like a road game. They're getting off the bus. Millie's sitting on the hood of her car. Jimmy, the religious guy, walks up to her and she's like, hey Jimmy, can I give you a ride home? And he says, have you accepted
Jesus
our
as your Lord
Jesus
and Savior?
Christ as your Lord? Yeah. She was like, she says, no. He says, can I give you my testimony? She said, you can give me anything you want. And tosses him her keys.
Then it cuts to
Annie trying her goddamnedest to have some sex.
And Meat's like, you can't seduce me. And she says something about like, she hasn't even...
She was like, I'm not trying to seduce you. Now, meanwhile, she has set her ass up on the table. She has on like stockings held up by a garter belt. And she's trying to teach him how to unhook them. And he's just like pulling at it. And she's like, no, look. It unclasps real easy. And shows him how to do it. It's like, no, you try this one down here. So he's like, got his arm wrapped around her leg, trying to unhook it. But she's just kind of thrust it up against his leg.
It in there like she's in heat.
And she's just like, and he was like, no, you will not seduce me, you devil. And runs out of her house.
Well, right as she's doing all that, she's like, Crash called it the Bermuda Triangle. He's like talking, he's talking about a woman's
her pussy.
And a man could get lost in there, and he tells her this whole story. And
yeah.
Now, when he backs up from the table after all that, he's like, you're playing with my mind. And she's like, I'm trying to play with your body. And then they have an argument, and she said, ask Crash, and he's like, I did.
Yeah, she said, there's no relationship between sex and baseball. Ask Crash. She's like, I did.
And he said, if we start doing it, I might start losing again. And he does not want to lose again.
Oh, she gets so mad.
So Crash is at his place ironing with his glass of whiskey on the ironing board.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem like a thing to do.
Eh.
She rolls in there.
Whatever you got to do to get you through the day. She doesn't even take her apron off.
No, she's
so mad.
She's like, you're confusing him. And he's like, I'm confusing him. You got him breathing out the wrong damn eyelid. And he's like, you got to respect the streak. If you believe you're winning for whatever reason, then you are. That's why you're winning. And he's like, you know this. You know better.
He matches wits with her at every
and
turn. Everything she says.
He loses her words, and he's like, come on, think of something to say. Think of something witty. And she's just like, I want you. And he's just like, stop.
Right. She
calls him scared, and he
says, I might be scared, but it's still a good idea for you to leave.
Yeah. So basically, he knows he's not going to do that while she's with him.
She sits down in his chair. She pushes over his ironing board, sits down in his chair. I was like, this is the damnedest baseball season ever. Y'all can't lose, and I can't get laid.
Yeah.
Poor old lady. How old do you think she is supposed to be?
I would say...
She was in her 40s.
I would say him and her late 30s in the movie.
Okay.
Because he's towards the end of his...
Right, he's played
professional career. He goes to the game.
The game is fucked.
Meat's not having a good game. And finally, Crash comes out there. He's like, basically says, what the fuck is wrong? He's like, my dad's here. I'm nervous. And he's like, he's just your old man.
The manager said his chakras are jammed and he's having trouble breathing out of his right eyelid.
Yeah.
Crash went out there and was like, what's actually wrong? Are you having trouble breathing out of your damn eyelid or what the hell? And he was like, my dad's here. And then somebody else comes in and says, did you hear that Millie and Jimmy got engaged? And then Jose comes in and was like, my glove's cursed. My ex-girlfriend cursed my glove. I can't catch anything.
Well, before that, the guy was laughing about Jimmy and Millie and says, wait till he learns that,
she's had everybody on the team.
She's had half the Carolina leagues. And Crash is like, if anybody says anything bad about Millie, I'll kill him.
Right.
Then Jose comes in with his wife or his girlfriend cursed his glove. He needs a live rooster and they need to sacrifice it right now.
Yeah. The manager comes out.
No one knows what to get Jimmy for the wedding.
Hold on. The manager comes out and was like, what the hell is going on here? And Crash shakes his head and he's like, all right. His dad's here and he can't breathe out of his eyelid. Millie and Jimmy got engaged. Nobody knows what to get him and we need a live rooster. You said a live one, right? We need a live rooster for Jose's glove. And the manager said, candlesticks always make a great gift. She probably has a registry somewhere. Come on, let's get out here and play. I was like, well, I guess he fixed a problem.
Then you learn that Jimmy proposed to Millie after 5 hours.
5 hours.
Because Millie is letting Annie
is fixing her
dress.
Right. 5 hours. She was like, why did it only take 5 hours? She was like, we just knew.
And Millie asked Annie if she deserves to wear white because she's been a lot of places.
A bit of a hoe. She's like, honey, we all deserve to wear white.
So he cut back to the game, and the guy's trying to come home, and they throw the ball to Crash, and Crash tags this dude. He's out. He's out by a mile. Calls him safe.
So he's yelling and screaming. He calls it a cocksucking call. He was like, did you call me a cocksucker? He was like, no, I didn't call you a cocksucker. I called the call cocksucker. He's like, call me a cocksucker. Call me a cocksucker. I'll kick you out.
You want to beg for it.
So he calls him a cocksucker. He gets kicked out. Now, the manager comes out. He's arguing with him. As I said a minute ago, I used to be a hardcore baseball fan, and my team was the Atlanta Braves. That means my manager is Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox holds the all-time record for ejections in Major League Baseball with, do you want to guess how many?
75.
158 during the regular season, plus 3 postseason ejections.
He just want to go home early.
Now, my favorite ejection that I have to talk about was not Bobby Cox.
Is it the guy who stole the base?
It is Wellman. I can't remember his first name. I didn't screenshot it. John Wellman, I want to say. On June 1st, 2007, Wellman gained international attention when he went on a tirade against the umpires during a game at the Chattanooga Lookouts at AT&T Field. He protested the umpire throwing his pitcher out of the game for using a foreign substance by covering home plate with dirt and then tracing in the dirt a new, significantly larger home plate. Then he went on to uproot bases and throw them, crawling in a prone position.
It's army crawl.
He army crawled across the infield like a soldier, then pretended to bite and hurl a rosin bag at an umpire as if it were a hand grenade.
Yeah, he crawled from second to the pitcher's mound, grabbed the rosin bag, did the whole grenade thing.
He then concluded his tirade by pretending to eject the umpires themselves with a fist bump and then blowing a farewell kiss to the crowd while taking a bow.
I feel like somebody made him a bet.
It was the best goddamn thing I've ever seen.
So Annie...
Philip Wellman.
Annie and Millie...
He was a minor league manager for a Braves farm team.
So Annie and Millie are listening to the game on the radio, and as soon as Crash got ejected, Annie turns the radio off, and Millie's like, oh, Crash must have called him a cocksucker.
Yeah.
Like, they lost.
They lost.
The good news was Annie said the good news was the guy was coming, but it was the wrong guy.
Right. So
she knows she wants Crash.
Ebby or Nuke or whatever.
Meat.
Is coming over. He comes over with
his dad.
But still tries to get a quickie in there.
Oh, yeah. Let's just leave his dad at the door.
His dad seems very religious. He was like, I'm so glad he was able to find a good Christian woman like you. And then in a minute, he wants to pray with her. But he was like, hold on just a minute, Dad. And he walks in the other room and was like, we can get a quickie in here real quick. But the phone rings, and it's the manager, who knew he would be there. So he got caught up to the majors, and he's going to leave in the morning.
Yeah.
So Annie, pushes the dad out the door, was like, he'll be with you in just a minute. And she was like, we need a minute to say goodbye. And he was like, I'll be back. And she was like, no, people who leave Durham don't come back. He was like, no, I'll be back tonight. And she just looked at him like, are you fucking dumb? And he was like, oh, okay. And, thanks her for her service, more or less.
Hey, she was the Durham Bulls' #1 fucking fan. She was making sure they were successful at any cost.
Yes, she was. You're right.
I mean, she paid in booty, but...
So he wants to go find Crash and share the good news with him. But Crash is not quite as excited. He finds him at this pool room.
He's in a pool room. He's already drunk.
He's drunk.
So Meat tells Crash, hey, guess what? I got called up to the show. And Crash is like, so why don't you go?
Yeah.
So he's a little bitter. And Meat's like, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, well, I'm mad because I got all the brains, but you got talent.
Yeah. He throws a baseball at him, but misses and breaks a mirror. He throws
a billiard ball.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
At him. Hits the mirror, and Crash is like, fuck. So Crash comes at him, and Meat punches him, and he falls down. He's like, Jesus.
You hurt my eye.
You hurt my eye. Did you hit me with your left hand or right hand? And he's like, what? He's like, did you hit me with your left hand or your right hand? He's like, my left. He's like, good. Don't hit a drunk guy with your pitching hand.
He's like, when you get in a fight with a drunk guy, you never hit him with your pitching hand. I can't keep giving you these free lessons.
Yeah. He's like, get over here and help me up. So then it cuts to presumably the next morning.
Crash goes in.
Meat's in the locker room cleaning up. He's gathering all stuff, and Crash comes in, and he's trying to give him advice.
He says, I'm sorry about last night. I have been known to tie one on.
I have been known to howl at the moon.
Excuse me.
If you know what I mean. And he's like, yeah. And he's trying to give him advice to keep him in the
grounded.
Majors.
Yeah, he was like, these pitchers or these batters are going to light you up for a while. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You have to be arrogant. Just act like you're the best, even when you're not.
Yeah. He's like,
he basically tells him to fake it until you make it,
yeah.
which is what the graduation speaker at my college graduation told us.
Yeah. Even when you're getting lit up, act like you're the baddest dude on the planet. It's like, you gotta play with fear and arrogance, and me kind of messes with him. He's like, alright, fear and ignorance. And Crash gets a little heated up. He's like, I just like fucking.
So Millie and Jimmy get married on the field.
Hold on. But Crash, at that point, when he's in the locker room, finally calls him Nuke.
Okay.
It's like, he earned his respect.
I didn't notice.
And
so can you now call him Nuke for the rest of this? Okay, because you're getting on my damn nerves.
And he turns around, Nuke kind of shakes his head and goes, alright, me, and walks up. So now you got Jimmy and Millie's wedding.
They get married on the field before the game, right?
Yep.
So, very weird.
So instead of throwing rice, all the players threw popcorn on them.
Yeah.
After the game, the manager calls in Crash to let him
they're celebrating. It's after the game, everybody's in a towel, they've just showered, and they bring out Jimmy's wedding cake.
Oh, yeah.
Which has, like, Barbie doll legs up in the air, and then the top tier is, like, the two people absolutely going at it. Yeah. So he calls in Crash, and he was like, this is the hardest part of any manager's job. And you're like, you gotta be fucking kidding me right now, Dick.
Yeah, as soon as he said it, and as soon as he said close the door, he was like...
So, since Ebby is gone, they don't need him there to babysit him and teach him anything anymore, so they want to bring in a new young catcher that needs to start getting his start.
Yeah. So Crash makes his way to Annie's house. They start talking. They start making out, and he just reaches down and undoes her garter. She's like, oh my.
One hand, like she was trying to teach him to do earlier. She may have came right there.
She's basically like, oh, this guy fucks.
Yeah. Yeah. He knew what he was doing. And then it just started having, like, over the top 80s porn music, which kind of took me out of everything. But
well, they're eating breakfast the next morning?
It's not the next morning. It's like they fucked. They had a minute while they ate.
No, I think it's the next morning because it is daytime.
It is not the next morning.
Yes, it is.
Because
they fucked for 36 hours.
No.
They an estimated 36 hours.
That's not it.
Yes. It's nighttime when it gets there. It's daylight when they're having breakfast.
Either way, they barely get into breakfast. Or whatever. I think it was a snack.
Yeah.
But he's eating, like, mini wheats.
No, they're Wheaties.
They are Wheaties. He's eating
she's
Wheaties.
talking about her former life, whatever.
Right.
Because of this, she was this. And he starts laughing. He's like, how come people in their former lives are always famous?
Right.
Like, how come you weren't like Joe Blow in your former life?
But she says...
She asked him, do you want to dance?
Yeah, she said, do you want to dance? And he just throws his bowl in the sink, grabs her, throws her on the table. Fucking milk goes everywhere, and they just have sex on the table in the middle of all the food and milk like a bunch of nasty bitches.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's tied to the bed, and he's painting her toenails, and then they're doing it in the bathtub. It's like a whole house fuck montage.
Yeah. So he got there, it was night. The breakfast was during the day. They go all night.
Again?
And then he leaves in the morning. So at least 36 hours have passed.
That next morning, he wakes up before her, writes a note, leaves her a note and an apple in her bed. And there's a voiceover from her saying there was an opening at Asheville for a catcher. He had to go try. And she said it wasn't the first time she woke up to a note, but this one kind of hurt more.
But at least he left her breakfast.
And she said she told herself that you had to respect somebody that just wanted to finish the season. So he hits his 247th home run to solidify the record. To absolutely no fanfare. Nobody knows but him and her. She's coming home from like a rained out game, and he's sitting on the porch. And she's like, what happened? He's like, I quit. I hit my dinger and I hung it up. And she's like, yeah, I'm quitting too. Boys, not baseball.
And it cuts to, right before that, it had Newt giving his cliche interview and all that bullshit.
He used all the cliches.
All at once. But during their, on the porch in the rain, he basically, I forget what she said before, but he was like, I just want to be.
Well, he started talking about how there's a manager job opening somewhere. He's like, you think I can make it to the show as a manager? She's like, I think you'd be great. and starts telling him why. And he was like, stop. I want to hear all your theories. I want to hear every one of them. But I don't right now. Right now, I just want to be.
Yeah, and that's the end.
Yes, it is.
This movie, like I said, I forgot how good this movie actually is.
I have one rip from the movie. It was the manager, Trey Wilson. He died right after the movie was done in 1989 at the age of 40.
Damn.
The movie was a hell of a hit. It was made for a budget of $7.5 million, and it ended up making $58 million. So, not bad. So, you want to take a stab at the...
Domometer. Critics, 75.
97.
Really?
Yeah.
Audience, 90.
82.
Bitches.
Kevin Costner at his funniest and most charismatic in Bull Durham, a film that's as wise about relationships as it is about minor league baseball. So you want to hear some
ratchet reviews?
I only have a couple. I have 2 short ones, and then I have a long one that I'm going to let you pick apart piece by piece because you always want to pick one apart piece by piece, and I never let you. 0.5 star. Lord, this movie is such garbage. Reminds me why I hate Kevin Costner. And baseball. I guess if you're a brain-dead jock or have a massive head trauma, this movie might be up your alley.
Why did they watch the movie?
If not, avoid like the plague. Now,
if you know you hate baseball, you know you hate Kevin Costner, let me watch this baseball movie with Kevin Costner in it. Nobody says that.
I need you to be more clear about avoiding it like the plague. Cause...
people aren't doing that.
It's 2020 and people aren't doing a great job of avoiding the plague. So, I can't tell if it's actually a bad review or not. Yeah, I don't know why they watched it. Also, it's a sports movie, yes, but I don't think this is your typical brain dead jock sports movie. Like, it's kind of smarter than that. 1 star. I came across this movie on Netflix, and being a fan of most Kevin Costner films, as well as seeing the great reviews, I thought I was in store for some great classic film. Boy, was I let down. This movie is some of the most overrated, pretentious garbage. The female characters are trashy, the movie isn't remotely funny, none of the characters are likable, and the whole thing seems like one big reason for Costner to just play cool guy who knows baseball again.
Is that a guy?
Yes. But here's the thing. It's not cool guy that knows baseball again. This was his first fucking baseball movie. Like, this was pre Field of Dreams. Like, this is Kevin Costner's first baseball movie.
Girls don't usually call each other trashy unless they're being catty. But turn this around. You say this is a women's basketball team. There's one dude who's always at the game. He always hooks up with one chick during the whole season.
I feel very uncomfortable and dirty and like I think I might need a shower. Especially if it's like an old man. Like helping these girls mature. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So if you turn it around, people wouldn't accept that, right? But
no, I don't like it anymore.
But most guys are like, hey, if that dude can do it, good for him. Woohoo. Why not be like, okay, if she can do it, good for her. Woohoo. She's a cougar.
She might be the original cougar.
Like, who cares? She likes to fuck people. Whatever. Do her thing. She's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they wrote that review in late 2019. It is not cool to slut shame, buddy. She's allowed to do who or what she wants.
I draw the line at what sometimes.
Well, I don't mean fuck what she wants. I mean,
I know in certain
she's
states,
allowed to do what she wants.
In certain states, as long as it's over 40 pounds, it's
That's
legal.
That's not what I meant.
That doesn't make it right.
That's not what I meant.
Doesn't make it right.
That's not what I meant. Okay, so this review is very long. Like, I screenshot them, and it took 3 screenshots to get the whole thing. But they have been ever so nice as to kind of check them off. So I'm gonna read one, and then I'm gonna let you respond, and then I'm gonna read the next one, okay?
Alright.
Now, there is a bit of an opening. 0.5 star by Scott Schwartz.
Alright, Scott, let me hear it.
May 2nd, 2020.
Oh, recent.
One of the worst movies I have ever laid eyes on.
Bullshit.
An insult to the sport of baseball. An insult to women everywhere. An insult to anyone who considers themselves an actor. Even the name doesn't make any sense. It's the name of the team, but backwards.
But it does make sense because a long time ago, the tobacco company had a brand of tobacco they called the Bull Durham tobacco. The name stuck in that area.
Right.
It makes sense for that
I know.
area.
I Googled it. All the terrible things about this movie, and then he has them tagged off, and I'm gonna read one and let you respond. That Susan Sarandon voiceover, including comparing baseball to being a religion. Wow, what an original thought.
Got problems with that?
I mean, not me, but...
Okay. I hate people that say something and then say, wow, and follow it up with something else. Like, because you know that's, as soon as they say wow, I've already checked out. Because I don't give a shit what you say from here on out.
Tim Robbins and Kevin Costner talking to themselves throughout the movie. Like,
this person has never played sports, ever.
Do they not have an internal monologue? Because I've recently learned that some people don't have a running internal monologue of anxiety in their head that's just telling them everything that they've ever done wrong in their life and everything that's awful and that they're not good enough. Like, do these people not have that?
Like, this person has never played sports or
I mean, you gotta hype yourself up, right?
Yeah.
Or calm yourself down, whatever.
You gotta be like, okay,
whatever you need in that situation.
I got this.
Yeah.
He's probably going to do this, so I'm going to do that. Like, that just happens.
Yeah. The over-the-top cliche sex scenes involving rolling off the bed, a saxophone, knocking things off shelves, clearing dining room tables, pretending men don't have any sort of refractory period, etc.
Enjoy your missionary, Scotty.
I will say that the amount of sex they had in a short amount of time did seem like a fair amount for late 30s Kevin Costner.
He might have had some Viagra, you don't know. He might have had that
Gatorade.
baseball hookup.
I mean, he at least had some Gatorade.
Gatorade.
But I mean, I feel real bad for this person if they've never knocked anything down while having sex. Like, if you've never ripped a shelf off a wall, what are you doing with your life? This point is just Kevin Costner. That's all it says.
At one point in time, late 80s, early 90s, Kevin Costner was in every movie I can remember.
Kevin Costner's a goddamn treasure.
And if Kevin Costner wasn't in it, Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins was.
Kevin Costner's a goddamn national treasure. Now, he has a lot of typos. He says every like of dialogue read by Kevin Costner. I'm thinking he means every bit of dialogue read by Kevin Costner. Which I feel like is the same as his point before where he just said Kevin Costner.
If you hated Kevin Costner, why'd you watch the fucking movie?
Yeah.
Like, don't be like, I hate this, I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to spend 1 star, or I'm going to give it half a star, and spend 12 hours writing this shitty-ass review that's grammatically incorrect and has typos all over it, and there's bullet points in this stupid-ass review. If you hated Kevin Costner, why'd you watch the movie? I don't know who.
I, for a long time, didn't like Will Ferrell and wouldn't watch his movies.
But every movie we watched, you loved.
No.
Talladega Nights.
A fair bit of them, but there were some, like that baseball or the basketball movie. Whew.
Yeah, but Talladega Nights. Old School.
Old School is probably my favorite comedy.
Yeah.
The scene where Kevin Costner takes a long rod out of a garbage can and then simultaneously realizes there's a reflection in the glass across from him so he can practice his swing. I would like to take this one. Because he's not practicing his swing so much as just
admiring.
Looking at himself in this glass, seeing his silhouette, seeing kind of like the experience, the old man. I'm sure in his head he's envisioning like him as a young player. They just didn't superimpose it over it. But, you know, he was having like a moment, like a I still got it moment. The joke of throwing a baseball through the announcer's box in the beginning of the movie. I don't even remember this.
That was the first pitch.
Oh, that wasn't a joke.
Yeah, and if you're in a small minor league stadium, that's possible.
Yeah. Assuming people who watch this movie are too dumb to realize that 18 walks and 18 strikeouts would be impossible for a minor league pitcher.
False. Let's do the math. Where's my pen?
I took it from you because
right there.
Click it. That's my pen.
All right. You have 9 innings. Okay?
Okay.
If you have a perfect game, you need 3 outs. You only can do 27. But let's just say 4 or 5. Say you having a good game and you're only facing 5 batters per inning. So you're striking 3 out, 2 are getting on base. 9 times 5, is 45. So 9 times 5 is 45. That's 45 batters. 18 walks plus 18 strikes, Scotty, is fucking 36. There's 9 more people. That's in a good game. So if you're getting 6 to 8 batters an inning and you're having a shit day, you might have 90 at-bats per game.
Right.
Having a shitty game.
Well, I mean, you also got to think that he's probably not pitching all 9 innings.
No, I mean, he could have had 18 walks and 18 strikeouts in the first 5 innings.
I'm just saying.
So Scotty knows nothing about baseball. So he's already said he doesn't like baseball. He doesn't like Kevin Costner like the other person. Why the fuck did you watch this movie, Scotty?
The fact that Kevin Costner is supposed to be Tim Robbins' friend and mentor, but the whole movie he's just waiting to have sex with Robbins' girl. But that's not true either. He's never supposed to be his friend. No. And
he met her.
Not really his girl. Like, her boundaries were laid out that I'm gonna fuck you and mentor you during this season, and then you're gonna get the fuck on.
Yeah. And he didn't spend the entire time trying to get with her.
No, he was done with that. Down.
He was done with that. He's not interested in women who are interested in that boy.
Right.
That boy.
Right.
So, and even though when he says, you don't fuck with the winning streak, he wasn't being facetious or trying to backstab him. He was just saying, if that's why you think you're winning, you fucking do it. And because she came over after that, he had plenty of chances to fuck her.
He turned her down, yeah. She asked
for it. He told her to leave.
Yeah. The attempt to make the women in this film seem like they're above the level of just being sexual objects by having them read poetry and teach an English class to show that they're smart. Lazy writing and character traits.
Ooh, lazy writing is in that sentence because a lot of people would take that as you, Scotty, think
see women as only sexual objects. That's how I read it.
You are to be seen and fucked, not heard. That's what Scotty's. If I could quote that and people would be like, "Oh, this Scotty dude's terrible."
Yeah, I took it bad.
Yeah. So that's some terrible writing. And again, if they want to.
These women weren't being used. These women were using these men. These women were not the victims. Susan Sarandon was using all these little boys.
I wouldn't even say that. She fucking said, this is what's happening. I'm going to get with one of y'all for this season. And that's going to be it. It's going to be over at the end of the season.
And Millie was nobody's.
Yeah.
Even at the beginning, she says, you have to stay out. Annie tells Millie she has to stay out of the locker room. She's going to get in trouble. And she's like, I was lured there. And she's like, no, you were not. You are a strong woman. You are not to be lured. You say it out loud. And she was like, I wasn't lured there. Yeah, these women aren't the victim like he's making it out to be. The batting cage scene where Susan Sarandon is supposed to be teaching Kevin Costner how to hit. ... K.
Oh, so he doesn't think women know anything about sports.
Well, here's the thing. She was like, I can meet you there and teach you a little thing or two. Yeah. But it was more of like a flirty kind of situation. It wasn't about, I'm going to teach this 12-year vet how to hit.
She saw he was fucking up his form.
Right.
She told him exactly what he was doing. He knew he was doing that. He only went to the batting cage to see her. He's like, what the fuck is up with this dude? Why don't you let him go?
Right.
Bring me in.
The fact that the team basically has its own girl they pass around like a hot potato. Now, I would say they don't pass her around so much as she goes through them. Like, she was just walking down the lineup. Hey,
I'm Millie.
And then she was like, hey, I'm Millie. And he's like, I'm married. And then she moved on to the next one. The first scene where Tim Robbins is having sex in the clubhouse. I mean, maybe unlikely, but not a bad scene. The fakest beer I've ever seen in a movie. Collared water with no carbonation.
It's called Bud Light, son.
I did not notice the beer in this movie once.
It's called Bud Light.
The monologue Kevin Costner gives when Susan Sarandon is trying to decide if she should sleep with him or Tim Robbins.
Fuck you. Because that is one of the greatest lines in the fucking movie.
I mean, that's heavily quoted by people.
Yeah.
Now, the beginning monologue, her monologue, not the sex part, but the Church of Baseball, used to be my quote on Facebook, like, you're about me, back in the day when there was a section for a quote, was that. Like, I love this movie, I love baseball so much, it was absolutely my religion. And then his quote, everybody quotes that. I have friends that can say it verbatim. That the Bull Durhams were single-A minor league team.
They're the Durham Bulls. The movie is called
That I say Bull Durham. He says the Durham Bulls. Okay. I misspoke. That the Durham Bulls were a single-A minor league baseball team at the time. And Tim Robbins skipped Double-A and Triple-A and went straight to the majors at the end of the movie.
That's one of the few things that... It's not
impossible. It's a minor issue, but they seem like they paid him a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
And depending on how situated, this is kind of late in the season. They might just bring him in late in the season just to get him on board and say, hey.
Especially if they don't have a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they let somebody else off the roster, let him on there just to get him some chemistry with the guys.
The fact that Susan Sarandon did more coaching than the coaches and had a delivery system of little boys to get messages to the players.
It's minor league, son.
Yeah, a lot of weird shit happens.
It's minor league.
The baseball played in this movie is horrifically fake. I know actors are involved, but why not get some athletic ones or pay some extras who once played the game before? Now, Kevin Costner got this movie because he was so athletic and the fact that he played baseball in high school and college, and said that he insisted on throwing people out even when the camera wasn't on him.
To be honest with you, the actual baseball playing isn't the feature of the movie.
But it's also not bad.
Yeah.
Tim Robbins got the job over several people because he was able to actually throw a baseball. And then I believe I read somewhere that the, fill-in players were baseball players.
Yeah, so...
to fill in the roster.
Do research, Scotty.
Tim Robbins missing Kevin Costner with a baseball when being 10 feet away. I'm guessing he's talking about the scene at the beginning, but that's to set up the entire movie, that he got in his head and he was thinking too much.
Yeah,
and that's totally how he dies. Yeah, that's how he dies. Jesus Christ, that's how.
He died of embarrassment.
That's how he rolls, man. Oh, Lord. It's almost done. Kevin Costner acting the same drunk as he is sober and complimenting Tim Robbins on his arm choice for the punch he delivers.
I feel like I act a little bit the same.
You are currently how many beers into this day? 9. And you seem fine. You seem just like you are when you're sober.
Yeah.
I am 4 Tito's and peach bubblies in. Some people don't have to be like to be drunk. The line. Oh wait, and the fact that he compliments him for the hand. He was trying to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, but
you
also
don't want
he was a little different because he was so bitter.
Yeah,
right from the jump.
Who was it who broke his fucking pitching hand? Was that Zambrano who broke their pitching hand punching a dugout phone?
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah. The line, think classy and you'll be classy. Nothing wrong with it. Also, he had an issue with the clown prince of baseball.
The real guy?
Who played himself. Who does what he does. Like we said at the beginning, every minor league team has one of those.
Scotty's just a hater. Fuck off, Scotty. What did you think?
It's a 5-star movie.
I would also have to say 5.
Yeah.
I really forgot how good this movie was. And
I did too. I haven't watched it in a good long while. I think we own it.
It was one of those we had on VHS, and I think
DVD. We're not 100.
When I was little.
Oh.
VHS.
Yeah, I think we own it on DVD or Blu-ray or something up there.
It's definitely 5 stars.
It is a 5-star movie.
If you're weird and you're listening to this before you watch the movie, I don't know why you would do that, but go watch the movie. It's worth it.
5 stars all around. This might be a first. Might be a first double 5-star movie.
I think it is. Do you know what you're doing next week?
One for the history books. I'm going to do National Lampoon's Vacation. Since, nobody
gets one.
Nobody can go on vacation. We'll watch a vacation gone wrong.
Wear a mask.
Yeah.
Go somewhere, wear a mask.
Those are going to be our parting words. Wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask.
That's fair.
Alright, this has been Running Back. For Bull Durham, I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can follow us on our website, runitbackpodcast.com. It has all of the links to our social media. It has the links to our podcasts. And if you hit subscribe, you can subscribe to it on any of your favorite podcast apps.